We talked about it on the show yesterday, Bull. I know you weren't here, but Jason and Earl, you guys were in, about the city's public offer to fund $461 million of a proposed renovated stadium downtown. They said, Haslams, you have till August 12th to respond.
Yeah.
The Haslams put out a statement yesterday in response to that offer from the city and essentially said, we'll take a look at it, we'll consider it, and we'll make the appropriate decision when the time comes. We don't have to read it word for word.
Yeah.
But if you want to see it, Steve, you can take some. I
know, by the way, today, nobody cares about this. It's all the statement from the city and the statement from Jimmy Haslam. It's all their lawyers and propaganda. Nobody pays attention to what they're saying in these things. They're all meaningless. Now the team is putting out propaganda that apparently the stadium is going to collapse in like 10 minutes.
I did laugh at that.
I mean, come on.
I mean,
really?
Again, I've been.
We all want a dome. Most of us want a new dome.
I'm Team Dome.
Yeah.
But let's have a reasonable, fair discussion about this. The stadium is not going to fall into the lake. It's 30 years. There's stadiums that have been around a lot longer than this stadium that somehow haven't deteriorated. Lambeau Field. Wrigley Field.
Yes.
Fenway. Concrete lasts quite a long time.
Jason, I mean, I don't know if really none of us are qualified to speak on this. Maybe you know something on this.
I haven't dug as much the last day or so.
I was just going to say, the question is, what is the reality that if the stadium gets built in Brook Park, what are the real financial ramifications for Cleveland? And I don't think any of us have any clue what that answer is.
Like the
positive or
loss?
negative. Yes. I know, obviously, on those Sundays, it's bad for businesses near the stadium.
Right.
Because people are not going to go downtown. I mean, certainly not in the same numbers.
And it's bad for hotels because you do get visiting fans that come in.
Right.
That stay
at the hotels. They may stay in Cleveland in the hotels, but not, there'll be new hotels in this place.
Right. There will be a hit, but we're talking about 8, 9, 10 dates a year.
It seems like, again, and I don't know, and I'm talking out of school, just from a complete it seems like a brand new stadium in Brook Park with they build it up kind of like what the Patriots did with the mall around it or whatever, is good for the area.
It's interesting. We had, when I was at the Greenbrier, we had plenty of downtime there.
Yeah.
So there's nights where all the media get together and you go to dinner together and you sit around by the fire at night and everyone has drinks and you just talk.
Yeah.
And the stadium issue came up a couple times, and there was quite a few people who I thought made good points, who are media members who cover the Browns. I'm not going to go through who was on which side. Saying there's nothing wrong with just stick with what you got. You're going to go out and you're going to spend all this money. Cleveland has so many problems, and it's
true.
It's a fair argument. It's a very reasonable argument.
And the owner has the money to pay for all of this by himself.
I asked him that.
Yeah.
I asked Jimmy at the Greenbrier, why don't you pay for it yourself? Just pay for it yourself. And he went through the whole public-private. It's better as a partnership.
Whatever.
But I thought we needed to have somebody on the record. We needed to have an answer on the record.
Sure.
Why not pay for it yourself?
Yeah.
But the people who covered the team, there was quite a few who felt like just keep it downtown. The city has too many other issues that need to be addressed rather than dumping all this money in. And if you go out and you build this palace in Brook Park and you put all this retail and shopping, and who's going to go? How do you know they're going to go?
I don't know.
And it's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I made the point of you've got Crocker Park on the west side and you've got Legacy on the east side, but there's really nothing in between. And they were telling me people just go to Crocker. People in Brook Park and Parma can go to Crocker.
Yeah,
they don't need to go to that new. Anthony, I'm curious, as a Parma guy, do you go where do you go? Do you go to Crocker? Do you think you're more familiar with that area than I think anybody in terms of where you've lived? Do you ever
go to South Park down in Strongsville from my house?
Okay. So how do you think something in Brook Park would do? Not so much the stadium, but if they develop all the space around it, and the question was, who's going to live there? If you're going to put housing, if it's going to be mixed use and you can put housing there, who's really going to move there?
I mean, that area, it's not like it's a bad area. There's just nothing there between North Olmsted and Parma. So building that up could be really nice. I don't know what they're going to do about traffic infrastructure to handle that. Because Brook Park needs a lot of work already.
I mean, it's not that far. The airport is technically Cleveland, so it's right there. Can we just have Cleveland take on Brook Park?
Just move the line?
Yeah, right.
I thought you made a good point because east side, you got Legacy Village, you got Pinecrest, right?
Yeah.
You got Crocker Park, West Side.
Yeah.
And so Cleveland does have a lot of problems. And none of us are politicians. Like, I've talked to a councilman and a former councilwoman to try to, like, educate myself on this, and I still came away feeling ignorant to everything that I need to know because that's not my strong suit.
Yeah.
You know, but to your point of just keep what you got, I mean, there's older stadiums in the NFL, you know, and will people come? I don't know. But as far as Cleveland Browns Stadium generating so much money for those 8 games throughout the season, again, I don't look at the numbers. So it's hard to say how much of that money is making a positive impact on the city. Here's an example to where I'm not really worried if they move to Brook Park tomorrow, August 3rd. At the same time, simultaneously, you got the Guardians playing at home on national TV against the Orioles. You got Martin Lawrence at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and you have SummerSlam at Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Yeah.
The city of Cleveland is going to make a lot of money on Saturday. And so to me, it's like, keep finding creative ways to build up the city to make us more attractive for all these events. And I think it'll probably have the same amount or if not more revenue coming into the city.
Well, but the SummerSlam would be at Brook Park instead, you know, if that stadium's built.
Dan might try to outbid Jimmy. Who knows? You know, for
SummerSlam?
Yeah, you never know.
If they build a dome, would the stadium downtown wouldn't still exist, would it?
No.
But you take that off and you redevelop that space.
Do.
But
that actually came up in our conversation, and I agree with that part. If the Haslams do pull out and they do go to Brook Park, they do need to be involved in the redevelopment of that spot. Like, you can't just abandon Cleveland.
Yes.
You need to pull out, go where you want to go, but then say, we're still committed to downtown, we're still committed to this. And in terms of the financing of the dome, I think that's important. I just think, we talked about it before, I think that there's creative ways to finance this that aren't necessarily taking tax dollars away from more valuable resources.
Right, absolutely.
And
that's by the way, this proposal to fix up the stadium was including some money from the city.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised at the way that they went about doing it, especially when Justin Bibb was so adamant a year ago or so about we will not use public funds to do this. I just think that there's and I'm also,
it is, if you think about it, I know the reality of the situation. It is insane that billionaires get their stadiums paid for them, at least partially. It's insane. It tells you all, that sums up all that is wrong with our country, is that the billionaires who have the money get money from taxpayers who don't have the money.
The more money you have, the more things you get for free.
I mean, it's crazy, but unfortunately, that's the way it is.
And I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree they should build themselves. That's not going to happen. So, I've kind of moved on from that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious now to see the package that the city, the county, the state come up with in terms of getting this thing done. I mentioned before about bonds and things like that, they're not taking it to the ballot because they know it's going to fail. So they're not going to put anything on the ballot. And that was one of the things that I kept, going back a few months ago, I wrote that big story on the stadium, and my thought was like, you got to go now. If you're going to do this, you got to go now.
Yeah.
You got to get the financing in place now. And if you use Minnesota, and the way that they did it, it was like 4 years out. Well, we're at that point.
Yep.
But if they're not going to put it on the ballot and they're trying to go other ways around it, I don't know. Like in one breath, Dee Haslam stands up there and says, we want to do what's best for the fans, yet you're not going to give the fans a chance to vote on it because they know it would fail.
Billionaires, owners never want to do what's best for the fans. They only want to do it.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Oh, come on. No. They only care about their pockets.
Well, yes, they do, of course.
That's all they care about.
But there are, like Dan Gilbert, for all the wars that he and I had over the years, he does very much care about the fans of Cleveland. He does. Now, where does that rank on his own personal interest list? I don't know. But he very much and I can only speak to Dan because that's the.
But they make
it
seem like it's the first priority, and it's not. It's not.
Making money is always the first priority. Yeah. Always.
Right.
But I do think that the owners have a sense of delivering for the fans.
This was the first time throughout this entire process that I can remember the mayor kind of giving in a little bit. And when Dee Haslam said we are willing to do what's in the best interest of the fans, it was almost like Mayor Bill was like, okay, watch this. I'm about to put the ball right back in your court.
Right.
Here goes this amount of money.
Right.
And we're going to put this towards this. We all know parking downtown Cleveland when it comes to Browns games can be crazy. You can even have this parking garage whenever it's a game day.
Yeah.
But not only that, and I read this in a news article yesterday. Jason, help me out with this. I think that's the south side of the stadium. It's like 20 acres of land there where the parking lot is, right?
Willard Garage.
Yeah, it's on the backside of Willard. But it's like, if you come around where the Science Center is, it's the Browns parking lot that's sit right off the lake. There was an article that said that not only is this the first time that Bibb is willing to budge a little bit, but he's even willing to sit down and have talks with the Haslams about being inclusive on developing a lakefront and renovating the stadium. So it's like, here's the give and take. Can you move and build the stadium anywhere else downtown Cleveland? No. Can you put a roof on an existing stadium? No. But I can give you the money to renovate, and guess what? The city and the ownership group can come out with a way to take down all that useless space, and let's see if we can build some hotels, restaurants right there around our renovated stadium. And so to me, this was Bibb saying, okay, if you're really about leaving this downtown for the fans, this is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Yo move.
My sense is the majority of fans want the dome in Brook Park.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Dee said that. She said it was a very unscientific poll that
Same for me.
Feedback that they've got is, and for whatever it's worth, the people I've, fans who email me or whatever have all been very much pro dome. But that doesn't mean anything.
Earl, you live in the city, so what do you think?
I live in the city.
Yeah.
I used to be a season ticket holder as well.
Yeah.
And, when you grow up as a Browns fan in this city, you adapt these old school traditions that you don't even have nothing to do with. You're born into it. Football is played in the cold. The Browns has always been downtown Cleveland, so that's where the Browns are supposed to stay. And as you become a young adult, you repeat these things that's always been said to you, not because you really feel this way.
It's just the way it is.
But it's just the way it is. But when this came around, this last time around, I had a more realistic expectation and viewpoint.
Yeah.
One, I think it's better for everybody if the Browns go build a dome in Brook Park. It does create a better fan experience. I sat outside pouring rain in for 4 quarters before.
Yeah.
I done sat outside in the cold. I don't care how tough you is. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend all that type of money to not really be able to enjoy yourself. But not only that, I think it gives the city an opportunity to develop the lakefront. And I know it's going to be a lot of people from a certain generation that says for the last 50 years, the city has been talking about redeveloping the lakefront. The only optimism I can give you is you got a young mayor with new ideas that's innovative. So times is changing right now. I just think that move is better for the Browns, it's better for the fans, and it's better for the city of Cleveland all the way around.
And you live in the city. Do you have you talked to friends?
Because here's the thing. I think we get caught up on them being in Brook Park and that being a surrounding suburb and not actually Cleveland. And so we joke and be petty about the Brook Park Browns. But if we being really honest with ourselves, most places in this city, it takes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes max to get to. I know I drive towards that way every day during the school year to take my daughter to school. If I'm dropping her off at Warrensville and coming to work, I come 77,
traveling around here is the best.
It's like, when I really think about it to myself, I go out to Brook Park now to go out to eat, to go shop, depending on where I want to go.
Yeah.
And I stay Euclid. So I know damn well I wouldn't have a problem traveling to go see the Browns if I really wanted to go do so.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there, Mike. Go ahead. Let's kick off the next hour with some more Browns talk. What do we